Okay, let's talk about web mapping. So what is web mapping? What is a web map? If we go back to our basic definition of GIS, which is a computer-based system that collects, maintains, stores, analyzes, and creates outputs, distributes spatial data and information, it is that. It's just on the internet. Basically, it's a simpler user interface than a desktop GIS is, more streamlined, less complex, a more complicated backbone, and the good news is that they are usually free for users. They just don't have the complexity or abilities of a desktop GIS. So what kinds of web mapping platforms are out there? The ones you're most used to: Google Maps, Google Earth, Common Map Direction sites, Bing. There used to be other ones out there, but they've all been gobbled up by Google. Not all. Different data viewers like Our World in Data, different data distribution centers like the USGS National Map, personal data repositories like ArcGIS Online, we'll talk about in a second, and then different web mapping services that you can connect to. There are different servers, like the Utah AGRC has some web mapping servers that you can connect to and download data directly, not using their user interface. Google Earth, many of you are very familiar with this. You can do some very basic calculations, but I think the most useful thing for me is the ability to use the historical satellite imagery. It's a very easy interface to use. You can use the 3D effect and kind of drop down into cities or view the topology a little bit differently, which is nice. But being able to go back in time, I think you can do that in Google Earth Engine, but here you can do it in an easy user interface without having to learn any scripting. File formats. You can create shapefiles, basic shapefiles in Google Earth, and then export them in a keyhole markup language. The KML, a KMZ, is a zipped version of that that can also include images. These can be used in ArcPro or ArcMap by running KML to layer. On the contrary, you can, to the contrary, you can take shapefiles in ArcPro and ArcMap Desktop and run the tool layer to KML, and it'll convert them into data sets that can be displayed in Google Earth and Google Maps. Web maps can range from the relatively simple, like the Nat Geo map making tool. If you go to an area of interest and click add a layer, it comes up with all kinds of different layers that you can use to just make a quick visualization. Soil maps, the USDA has the Web Soil Survey, where you can dial into specific areas and get all sorts of information about soils for an area. And then to the very complex, like the USDA Geospatial Data Gateway, which I'll show you in a second. ArcGIS Online is growing by leaps and bounds, exponential growth. You can use it by either setting up a free global account, but I would recommend joining USU's ArcGIS Online group if you are a USU student. Contact me if you have any questions about how to do that. But then you can access all of the maps and the data and the galleries and content created by other people at Utah State. You can also upload your own content to build story maps and things like that. So in ArcGIS Online, again, you can create maps by tapping into all the data available through the Living Atlas or ArcGIS Online, or the content that's been uploaded by people at your institution, and also have the ability to tap into a lot of the online base maps that are available on ArcGIS Online. You don't completely understand the power of ArcGIS yet. Let me show you a couple of the nuances here. So first of all, looking at the USDA geospatial, oopsie, yep, I was afraid that might happen. The gateway. Here I've selected Utah, and if I add Cache County, here's just a basic list of some of the data that's available. So cadastre data has to do with the land survey system and populations. Census data from the US or from the Census Bureau, the Tiger data. Census block groups, tracks, so different levels, spatial levels of organization. Precip and climate data going back to 1961. PRISM data that's been summarized for you for Utah, that's raster format. Temperature data going back to 1971, it looks like. Easements, so NRCS conservation easement maps. Elevation data, it looks like they've got LiDAR. I wouldn't get, maybe it's, I don't know. They don't have elevation data at 1 meter for all of Cache County yet, but I'm sure it would bring up another map that would show you where that's available. 3 meter, 10 meter, 30 meter data from the NED. I'll bet you this 3 meter data is pretty good stuff. Oh, that's that 1/9. Ooh, yeah, that's good to know that you can get that here pretty quick and easy. Let's see here, Hillshade, where they have LiDAR available. Cities and other, it looks like other divisions. Land use, land ownership, hydrography, so they've got stream from the USGS, watershed outlines. Oh, I've never looked at these before. National land cover and crop cover, and then quadrangle indices, soils, topography, and roads. So all of that available in just one location. You can go get that data from different websites, but it's all organized for you here by the USDA. Okay, let's look at ArcGIS Online. If you just Google ArcGIS Online, it'll bring you to this webpage, and you can sign in either by creating, like I said, a free global account, or go through the steps of connecting to USU's ArcGIS Online group, and then it'll bring you to a page that's specific to our institution using our site license. And you can browse through the gallery to see what other people have uploaded. So you can look for just recent stuff. You can build your own maps, so you can upload your own data, or you can search ArcGIS Online and add base maps that other people have uploaded to our institution. Let's see what else. Content is where you can organize your own content. You can upload your own information, create data, create story maps, and this is where you'd house the layers that you're going to put into your story map. So that's kind of the behind the scenes in ArcGIS Online. If we look at it through ArcPro, if you start a new map, you can either access it through the catalog by going to the portal and searching ArcGIS Online or the Living Atlas. Like you could search for pirate data, and you'd get the anti-shipping activity messages. So from those of you who are in 1800, this is the Assam data. It's available here. Maybe you're interested in cattle. So you can either sometimes drag these over, or you have to just add them as a new map. So for example, if you try and drag this over, you see it's blocked. So these are maps that you have to right click on to add and open, and it's going to open for you in a new map tab. So we'll just wait for that to happen. So there we go. This one's kind of cool because it's got a newspaper base map, which is pretty neat looking. And then it auto-populates with the saved symbology, which is pretty great. Or it looks like this is the same data set, but this one is one that we can add as a layer. So I can go back to my original map, and we'll drag that one over. And it's just the same data set, it doesn't have the base map. So that's how those work. What else did I want to show you? You can access the same thing by adding data this way. And then you can go to Living Atlas and you can search for the same things, like pirate data. And here's the same data set. So you could add it to your map that way. Okay, and then base maps. Just for a heads up, when you add base maps, people have emailed me with questions about why they might get a red exclamation point for a base map. These are coming from ArcGIS Online, so you have to have an internet connection to add any of this data. And the base maps require your map to have a coordinate system. Every once in a while, you'll have a map and you have no display coordinate system. It gets removed somehow. The base maps can't draw if there isn't a defined coordinate system for the base map. But this is, you can go in here and these are kind of the default base maps, but you can obviously search for more by using ArcGIS Online. All right, that's it. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know. Now you know a bit more about the power of ArcGIS.